Someone asked me for recommendations for games for people who are just getting into cozy games. So I thought I'd put together this video as a sort of cozy gamer starter pack. Hello cozy gamers, I'm Ellie and welcome back to the Cozy Gaming Club where we talk about all the latest and greatest cozy games. I've got £100 in my pocket, well, not literally, but if I did have £100, here is what I would spend it on. Let's get started with one of my favourite games, and this is going to devour a fifth of our budget straight away. But I think Wildflowers is a great introduction to the farming sim genre, as it's a farming sim with a huge focus on story. Play as Tara, who moves back home to help her grandma with the family farm, only to discover that she comes from a family of witches. As you play through the game, you'll need to come to terms with your own identity and learn more about the magical world of witchcraft, while also looking after your farm. You'll be able to help the villagers with their problems, solve mysteries, and uncover the secrets of Fairhaven. I really like Wildflowers because it has more of a plot than other farming games. I found that in Stardew Valley you can get so lost trying to decide what to do next, and it can be very overwhelming when there is so much choice and no real direction. But Wildflowers has a set plot for you to follow along with very little time restrictions, so you can still play the game at your own pace and learn as you go. You can change the seasons when you decide to, none of the quest points are time sensitive, and the plot itself is the perfect mix of farming and magic. Now, this game is a little limited on character identity compared to other farming sims. You play as Tara, and you can't change that. But you can customize your hair and outfit now. The town of Fairhaven is also full of characters to meet of all ages and ethnicities, with plenty of romanceable options for you to choose from, if you want to. On a whole, I really love this game, and while the start is a little railroady as it introduces the plot, I implore you to stay with it to discover the best of this magical world. The second game is A Short Hike, a delightful, short and sweet adventure about stepping away from technology to enjoy the wonders of nature. Play as a young bird called Claire who's spending their summer holidays on an island with no mobile signal. Determined to call home, you need to climb to the top of Hawk Peak where the elusive bars await you. However, this isn't a game about taking the direct route and making your way straight to the top. It's a game about taking the long way around, and the things you can discover if you just take the time to experience them. This game encourages you to do this with skills you need to unlock or improve before you can advance further. But I feel like even then you can miss so much of A Short Hike's cozy side quests, from games to play to cute creatures to meet. This was one of the first cozy games I ever played, probably because it's so cheap at £5.79, but it is well worth it. If you've already played A Short Hike, then I've got my first alternative of the video, and that game is Toem. I feel like a lot of people overlook this adorable photography adventure because of the black and white graphics, but that is part of what makes it such a great game. After you've stripped away all of the eye-catching colour, you're left with a charming story about a little guy on an adventure. Much like in A Short Hike, the goal of this game is to travel to the highest peak and take a photo of the beautiful light phenomenon that you can see from there. Think the Northern Lights. Along the way, you'll get to experience so much more though, and take a lot of photos. Every new location you come across offers new quests to complete with your camera, plenty of photos to take, and even new outfits to discover. From helping a balloon find its way home to showing a Yeti something fluffy, this game is so fun and quirky and the perfect alternative to A Short Hike. Our total is at just over £25 as we head into our next game, which is Cozy Grove. Personally, I love Cozy Grove as a game you can just pick up whenever you need something to play, but don't have hours to invest into a full play session. As a spirit scout, you've been sent to the haunted island of Cozy Grove to help the island's ghostly bear inhabitants come to terms with their current state of life. From a star chef to a guilty captain and a conspiracy theorist, these bears have so many tales of life and love to share with you, and in return you'll help them find lost items, collect every fish, and fill the island with adorable animals and flora. Just like Animal Crossing, it's set to real daytime, and most of your daily activities won't take longer than 20 minutes to complete. This makes it the perfect bite-sized game for a lunch break, during your commute, or as a way to wind down before bed. And there's always something to keep yourself busy with. There's always another fish to catch or more decorating to do. I think this game is great for beginners because there's not a lot of stress with time restrictions and everything can be completed the next day if you don't finish it in time. It also includes a lot of mechanics that feature in cozy games like fishing and bug collecting, a collection to complete, decorating, and more, which really helps you decide which of those aspects you enjoy the most. Next up is Fields of Mystria, one of my new favourites. It is currently in early access, but it's such a great introduction to farming sims. This is a magical farming game where you move to a small town to help them rebuild after an earthquake. There's lots to do, so you won't be bored, but you soon discover that the earthquake didn't just damage the town. It also released magic into the world, magic you'll soon be able to control yourself. I chose this one because I know a lot of people struggle with a lack of plot or direction in some other farming games, where you're basically left to choose how you want to spend your day. In Fields of Mystria, you can also do that, but it adds a little bit more direction with the main plot, quest board requests, and museum collectibles. The NPCs are one of my favourite parts of this game, but I also love that there is a ton of customization, both with your house and your character. I feel like Fields of Mystria is a great bridge between Wildflowers, which is very story-driven, and your typical farming sims, which don't really have a main plot line pushing them forward. For those of you that aren't keen on this one because it's in early access, then of course I have to say that Stardew Valley is the best alternative. I had to include Stardew Valley in this video. Alongside Animal Crossing, it's most people's introduction to the world of cozy games. It's one of the most popular farming sims, and there are a plethora of reasons as to why cozy gamers joke about restarting their Stardew Valley farms again and again, and why so many of us have hundreds of hours in this game. Whether it's befriending all of the NPCs and discovering their complex and often emotional backstories, or the determination to finally reach the bottom of the Skull Cavern, or if you just want to find all of the legendary fish or reach 100% perfection for the first time. Or just Concerned Ape deciding to release yet another 3 update, there is always something to bring us back to Stardew Valley. Recently, there have been a lot of new farming sims that haven't quite hit the mark, and all they succeed in doing is reminding me of how great Stardew Valley is and making me want to go back. For new players, Stardew Valley can be daunting, but it is well worth the time invested. How do you follow up Stardew Valley? Well, we are going to a completely different genre. Beacon Pines is a cute and creepy adventure told through a mysterious book. You play as Luca, a young deer who is mourning the death of his father and the disappearance of his mother. Now living with his gran, Luca is just trying to move on with his life and get up to mischief with his best friend Rolo. But their childish antics soon get them tangled up in a larger scheme that may bring harm to their small town. Their determination to get to the bottom of this mystery and make things right could well change the course of fate, but may also end in their demise. In Beacon Pines, you can choose the words that decide how the characters react to situations. These are the forks in your story that lead you down paths towards different endings, and there are a few different ones to discover. But each dead end is met with the author encouraging you to try again, as there is only one true ending to complete the game. This is a great introduction to visual novels and choice-driven narrative, as it lets you travel back and see the impact your choices had on the story. It's also not as text-heavy as other visual novels, and lets you break up the story parts of the game with exploration and minigames. A great alternative to this is something like Coffee Talk. This one may not be a good fit for some players as there is a lot of text to read, and it's all set in one location. But there's an incredible story to discover here if you take the time to experience it. The best part of visual novels is that they are very low stress, which makes them fit perfectly into the cozy gaming genre. You don't need to juggle a million different mechanics, and it doesn't matter if your reaction time isn't the best. It's like reading a book and it's perfect to curl up with. Coffee Talk especially excels in this area because of its cozy setting, and its magical world quickly pulls you in out of the cold. At its heart, Coffee Talk is a game about talking and listening, and this is where it really shines. It creates a world filled with characters that you can't help but become attached to, and you'll quickly become invested in their stories, offering them a shoulder to lean on or giving them advice for their unique situations. Our next game is another one of my favourites, and I just love how simple but charming it is. Alba, a wildlife adventure, tells the story of how even the smallest person can make a big difference. While visiting her grandparents for the summer, Alba discovers their quiet island life is being threatened. A huge hotel construction looms over their head, but Alba is determined to prevent it. She teams up with her childhood friend to found an organization that can save the local wildlife, and hopefully the island as well. This is really one of the chillest experiences I've had with a game, despite the tense plot. It's short and sweet and the perfect way to spend an evening, plus a few extra hours if you want to collect all the cute animals too. I think every cozy gamer needs to play Alba: A Wildlife Adventure, and while it's quite similar to a short hike and playstyle, the message it shares about caring for the environment and saving the wildlife aligns perfectly with cozy gaming for me. As an alternative, I would recommend taking a look at Lodalnaut, which explores a similar theme of saving the environment but in an underwater setting. In Lodalnaut, you've been enlisted to clean up the damage done by a mega corporation to an alien planet. From rubbish strewn everywhere to oil spills and gross gloop. That's fun to say, gross gloop. They've done a number to this planet and its adorable axolotl-like creatures. As you clean up the polluted environment, the murkiness will start to lift, and you'll soon be able to enjoy the beauty of this underwater world, as well as the cute Loddles. Each area has a cleanliness score, and with lots of gadgets and upgrades to help you with your work, it's super satisfying to chip away and watch the numbers tick up. We've spent £80 so far, which gives me space to squeeze in 1, maybe 2 more games, and we haven't done a puzzle game yet. So let's start with that. The premise is very simple. You're unpacking boxes as you move into your new house, and you need to work out where each item goes. There is so much joy to this game as you unpack each box and discover items that you may recognize from your own life, like a Nintendo 64 or a Dungeons & Dragons manual, or a work-in-progress cosplay of Sailor Moon. There's so many fun and personal items to discover here that really tell us more about our character and who she is as a person. But the magic of this game really shines through in where you can't put the items you unpack. There isn't really a story to this game in a typical sense. There are no words on the screen telling you what's happening, but you can infer from the variety of plates and glasses in the kitchen to the types of clothes in the wardrobe at what state of life we're in. It's incredible how much of a story this game is able to convey without saying anything. Unpacking is another one of those, if you haven't played this game yet, you have to kind of games. For an alternative to unpacking, I'd like to suggest A Little to the Left. It's not quite as similar as some of the other alternatives I've suggested in this video, but I think it's a great puzzle game that's really worth playing. A Little to the Left is more of an organisation game, where you come across a messy scene and need to sort it into a more aesthetically pleasing order, like rearranging books on a shelf or taking a pile of shells and sorting them so you can see them all. Most of the game is played out across levels filled with these incredibly satisfying puzzles, and when you finish them all, there's a daily tidy for you to try your hand at, and a couple of DLCs as well. The final 2 games on this list are management games, but they're more management light because they're not as full on as some of the more complex management games you can play. In Sticky Business, you're running your own small sticker shop, and I love that you can design the stickers yourself. Then when it comes to packaging them up, you get to choose which wrapping and filling you use before sending them off to your favourite customers. It really makes it feel like this is your Etsy shop and you're deciding every aspect of this small business. When it comes to designing the stickers, there are so many different elements to play around with, from witchy stickers to food stickers to words and animals, and the devs are constantly adding new designs to the game so you can create even more. The management element of this comes from managing your time in the day, with each activity taking up a couple of hours. So you'll need to plan your day to make sure you don't waste all your time making stickers and run out of time to ship your orders. My alternative for Sticky Business is Minami Lane, which is a cozy street management game. Start with a couple of houses on a tiny street, and over time you'll be able to slowly upgrade it as you earn more money and unlock more shops and decorations. You'll also get to choose what you want to stock your shops with, but you'll need to work out what your villagers like first through deduction. When it comes to building your street, you can also decorate your different stores and locations by choosing how they look and their colour scheme, which just adds a little bit more creativity to it. This is such a cute little sandbox and decoration game with a few management elements thrown in. With a grand total of £101.50, we are slightly over budget. But these are the cozy games I'd recommend starting with to get a good understanding of the different cozy gaming genres. But I would love to see your list, so let me know down below which cozy games you would recommend picking up if you had £100 or $125. As always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!